I'm Jack Bissett.
Spoiler. Wales' first starting strength coach. Congrats.
Diane, thank you. I'm 27. I weigh 125 kilograms. My best ever lifts are 227 kilo squat, a 270 kilo deadlift, a 106 press, and a 145 bench. It began in school. After sixth form, I was real skinny, and I used to play rugby in school. And I started playing because I hit puberty really early, and so I was much bigger than a lot of the other kids. But by the time we got to sixth form, it's all sort of leveled out. And I was like, well, I can't catch, I'm clumsy and I'm slow, and I'm not big anymore, so I'm going to have to do something about that if I want to keep playing rugby. So I'll try and get bigger. And so I started going to the gym for that. And it was terrible. It was a bodybuilding gym. Everybody on there was just so juicy, so roided up. They used to call us, there were 4 of us that went, they used to call us the sausages. And we'd go in and they'd be like, oh, the fucking sausages are here. 4 little scrawny, like 16-year-olds. We had no idea what we were doing. We'd come in, you want to do chest today? Yeah. All right, what are we going to do? Max bench, to see if we can bench 60 today. Could we bench it last week? No. But maybe we could this week, and then max out flies on the chest press machine, do some curls and call it a day. Maybe squatted once a month. I was the only one who'd squat to depth, but it was like I'd try and sit on my heels depth. And it was it was almost 2 years of that, just kind of being crap at lifting, being the sausages. And I got dissatisfied with the fact that nothing was really happening. And so I Googled squatting because I wanted to get better at it. And I found the Art of Manliness videos with Rip teaching Brett McKay. And I just thought, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like the way he just asserted everything with absolute authority, and the way it just immediately worked. I was like, oh yeah, I should do that. Obviously took that back to the boys in the gym, made a absolute mess of it. Nobody could really follow the instructions. And then when it came to uni, the summer holiday before uni, I bought the book. I sort of skim read it, skipped to the programming at the end. I was like, yeah, I've got this. Started chugging whole milk. I did GOMAD for like 6 months. Came to uni and joined the weightlifting club, and like it worked. My squats were real loose and messy. I was squatting too deep. I was dropping my hips loads on the deadlift. My back wasn't set. My press was basically a strict press. And so I wasn't doing the program. My technique was all over the place, but it worked well enough. Like I got way, way stronger, packed on a whole bunch of size.
How much?
When I came to uni, I was maybe like 85 kilo. And by the start of my second year, I was about 100. So I put on 15 kilos, which is not like tons and tons, but for me, that's like the most I'd ever put on.
6'1" at that point?
Yeah. So that was the most I'd ever gained at any one time. I started getting stretch marks and stuff. I was like, this is cool as shit. And I just went from there. Like in my second year then, when I joined the weightlifting club, it was like on its arse. There were like 10 people in it. And the guy who was coaching it, he graduated and he left. And so they're like, well, we don't have a coach. And I was like, well, I've skim read starting strength. Well, I can coach. So I just volunteered to do it. And that's where it really took off then, because I was like, well, if I'm going to actually teach people this, I need to properly read the book. I need to properly go back over the videos and learn the teaching methods. And I started doing a real janky, awkward version of coaching. And that's basically been the rest of my life since then. I sort of realised that I didn't like my degree as much as I liked coaching. So by the time I graduated, I just dropped what I was doing and tried to do coaching professionally.
So
for the rest of my
actually
life.
Just
I'm a chemist. I'm a chemistry graduate. I did chemistry very badly at university. I didn't, I went because university was just the thing. Like, if you're going to be successful, you have to go to university. That was the message. And so I was like, well, shit, I've got to go to uni. I don't really know what I want to do with my life, but I'm quite good at chemistry, so I'll just try that. That is not a good reason. Chemistry's really hard, and if you don't really like it and you don't have a plan with what you want to do with it, don't put yourself through it. If you want to go to uni, go and do ancient history or English literature or something else, because chemistry's a lot. But I ground my way through it and then come out the other side and started coaching. Strongman's mint. Strongman, I started it basically because I just was watching YouTube videos of Eddie and Brian and stuff like that. I just thought, that's really cool. Which was my main motivating factor for giving it a go. It just looked cool. So I signed up. It's kind of a habit, actually. I signed up for a comp with no prior experience. I was just like, if I'm going to do strongman, I've got to do a strongman comp, because the events in the competition will dictate what I train, right? So I think the first comp was a truck pull, a yoke, an axle clean and press, stones, and a silver dollar deadlift, which is like a really high rack pull with a really whippy bar. And I asked my brother, I was like, do you want to come and train strongman with me? And he was like, abso-fucking-lutely. So there was, it's gone now, but there was a gym here in Cardiff that had a bunch of strongman kits. So we went down there I trained normally in the week, and then on Saturdays we'd get up early and come down to that gym. We didn't have a truck to pull, so we'd push his car in the car park. And on the back of his car, he's still got 2 dents imprinted into the boot of his car from our hands pushing on it. And we push the car and we do the axle and just try and teach ourselves based off YouTube videos. That was the first comp. I came 4th in that, which I was pretty happy with. And then after doing that, I convinced a bunch of people in the gym to sign up for another comp. And I said I would coach them for free all the way through the comp if they split the cost of the equipment they needed between them, and then I kept it at the end. So we bought a log and a yoke and a set of Atlas stones and a sled and then a few other bits and bobs. It came to maybe £1,000 total, and there were 6 of them, so they divvied that up between themselves. I bought it all, they paid me back, and I kept the kit at the end of it and trained them for 3 months up until the comp. I learned a lot doing that, because you do, okay, well, I've kind of figured out how to pick up an Atlas stone, but how do I explain that to this guy? And that was a lot of fun. It's not as busy as it used to be. In earlier days, when I was doing the strongman with those boys, I was obsessed with accessories and this Charles Poliquin idea of structural balance and and all this sort of stuff. And so it would be all the compounds and the big lifts, and that would all be in there, and the practice for the strongman. But then it would be, and then we do this single leg thing over here, and don't forget to do your triceps, and you got to have your lateral raises and your trap 3 raises and all this sort of stuff. And over time, reflecting on it, watching people do it, seeing how they perform, I just think to myself, they don't need to do that. They just need to get their press up. They don't need to improve their trap 3 raise. Maybe that's different at super high levels with the world's strongest men, which is where I got a lot of that stuff from. But I'm training ordinary guys who just want to have a go at strongmen. All they need to do is get strong. and practice doing strongman. So, you know, in that sense, I think my training philosophy is a lot more Spartan than it used to be, stripped down. I think my first real injury was training in uni, which I didn't even do in the gym. I did dancing in the kitchen, but I dislocated my kneecap. I did like this weird twist, and my kneecap just like popped off to the side, and I went, and twisted back. And in the act of twisting back, it slid back into its natural resting place, so I didn't have to, you know, go and have that reset or anything. It just like popped out and then came back in as I twisted back the other way, and that was the first real thing where I had to learn how to work around something, because I couldn't squat. Like, my knee was like puffy, but I could bench with my feet up, and I could press, and I could deadlift off of high blocks, or off of like just below the knee, because I didn't really have to do much knee extension. I was like, I can do that. And, you know, over time then, bring the blocks down, start squatting to a high box. I just learned that stuff myself, find something you can do and work from there. Since then, most of my injuries have either been my lower back, which is temperamental. I've got this weird thing going on with my hip, which flares up from time to time, or me overdoing it, doing too much, usually too much heavy volume on joints that aren't happy about it, getting tendonitis in my elbows or in my pec tendon, stuff like that. Or there was a while when I first started doing strongman where I was doing loads of high bar squats in squat shoes, but with my heels elevated as well, for quad hypertrophy. And that did a wonderful job at giving me patellar tendonitis in both knees, which stopped as soon as I went back to low bar squatting and kicked the wedges out from under my feet. Make of that what you will. Read the book cover to cover first. Don't skim it. Read it cover to cover. Starting Strength, Basic Barbell Training, 3rd edition. And then don't just follow shiny objects because Eddie Hall is doing them, or because you saw that Matt Wenning said that doing JM presses exploded his triceps. It's like, you know, he had a fucking 600-pound bench first, not after the JM presses. Focus on the core, the essentials. If your numbers go up, squat, bench, deadlift, press, chin-ups, power cleans, all this sort of stuff, if those numbers go up, you are getting stronger and therefore gaining muscle, especially if you're gaining weight. I now had a problem with the gaining weight bit. I enjoyed that. It was delicious. But program hopping and chasing shiny objects and, whoa, look, Renaissance Periodization have just put out a new 12-week juggernaut program. I want to be a juggernaut. And so I'll just abandon, 3 months worth of really good training to jump on that and do sets of 10 for ages. And it's like, yeah.
So check.
Oh, the coaching.
You mean the standard?
Yes, the standard of coaching. So the qualification is in 2 parts. You've got the platform evaluation, where experienced coaches watch you coach and assess your ability to coach. And then you've got the oral board, which is a test of your knowledge. The oral board is revision. It's like a regular exam, and you can have all of the knowledge necessary to pass the oral board from studying the material, reading articles, watching videos. and just thinking about it. You know, you don't necessarily have to have a ton of practical in-person experience to pass the oral board. You cannot pass the platform evaluation without having coached for hundreds of hours. And that's not just like done PT sessions, that's coached the method, used the teaching progressions to coach those lifts in that way, corrected errors in real time, and deliberate practice, reflected on what went wrong in that session, or, well, how am I going to fix that next week, because everything I did, or next session, because everything I did today didn't work, so what am I going to do next time? That's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, and it's a lot of time. Like, you can't fake that. There's no shortcut to it. I think Rip says that you really have to be doing this professionally for money to get enough coaching hours, and he's probably right, because I couldn't have done it when I was doing it as a sort of voluntary hobby in university. If you're you've got to be sure. If you're from Europe, you've got to be sure about it. It's a big investment. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of money. It's a recurring commitment, because you've got to keep going back. And if you don't want coaching to be your full-time, lifelong gig, you're probably better off putting your money elsewhere, learning plumbing or something, But if you do want to be a coach, if that's what you want to do, there's no higher standard, there's nothing better as far as I'm concerned. But you can't get around the practice. You need clients, and you need to be coaching them deliberately, and really you need feedback on that coaching, because you're not as good as you think you are. So, do the prep course. Even if you know all of the material in theory, and the written stuff and answering questions isn't the hard part, you need someone who's better than you to look at your coaching and tell you which bits of it are crap, and it's probably most of it. Because until you have someone like that look at your coaching and tear it to shreds at the start, which they will, you don't realise how high the standard is, but it's much higher than you think it is. I would say experience. You've got a lot more experience than I do. I've learned a lot from you, just without even having conversations with you. Just the way you coach me, the way you program, is now reflected in my own coaching and programming, because I see you do stuff and I'm like, ooh, that's good, I'll have that. That it's the same thing, right? It's the benefit of experience. It's the same reasons anybody else would hire a coach. Just because you also coach doesn't mean that you're actually best positioned to coach yourself. I really like training. I'm very invested in training and my numbers, and I'm not very good at being impartial or objective about my own numbers, because I'm very emotionally invested in them. And if things aren't going well, I'll throw a shit fit. And you need someone stood outside of that to rein you back in. And then also, it's something I didn't really think of until after I'd started with you, but it's kind of nice to mentally offload that a little bit. Like, I didn't realize how much time I spent thinking about my own training and like, oh, what am I going to do about this? What are these numbers? And just be like, Carl's got it. It'll be all right. Just show up and do whatever Carl says. It'll be all right. It's nice. It's a mental load. Do it. Try it. It's not a ton of money. You've not got anything to lose really, and potentially a lot to gain. Even if you did it for like a month just to tidy up your technique, which does need tidying up. You're not as good as you think you are, referred to earlier. It will be well worth it. And odds are that once you try it and you see its efficacy, you won't stop. You'll keep going because it is worth it. If you care about training and being strong. If you don't, what are you watching this YouTube video for? Well, I've completed powerlifting. I've also completed strongman, and so there are only two strength sports left for me to conquer. I'm not ready for the tan and the trunks and the oil yet, so weightlifting it is. But in truth, I've done several powerlifting meets, and I've taken a lot of clients to their first powerlifting meets. That's great, and I love it, and it's fun. I've done the same with strongman. I've run 3 of my own meets here in Cardiff, which have been fantastic fun. Coached tons of people for their first comps, which has been awesome, great. I want to do the same thing with Olympic lifting. It's the only string that I don't have in my bow. I don't know how to do it very well, and so I wouldn't be comfortable taking someone's money to teach them how to do it. And the first part of learning that is to do it yourself. And since my wife has just had a baby, training's lighter now, and so it seems like a good time to learn a new skill and round off that missing piece. My hopes are 6 for 6. I'll be happy with that. Just go do 6 good lifts, get my white lights.
Don't cut weight.
Obviously not. And soak it in, experience it, talk to people, see what the meet's all about, and just get it under my belt. I want to do a second meet later in the year and try and aim for more of a total, but this is just like a learning thing, an expedition. Try it. Everything's scary when you try it for the first time. Try skiing or snowboarding or mountain biking. The only way you're going to not be scared is to have a go. It's not that scary. Find a good coach who's got some experience. Let them guide you. Do what they say, and just give it a crack. That's what I did with powerlifting. It's what I did with strongman. Just give it a stab, and if you are willing to check your ego, you'll be okay. It's only when you start to let your ego get involved that you're gonna feel embarrassed. I should be lifting more than this, or my technique was terrible. It's your technique might not be very good, and you might not be very strong. But you came and had a go, and that's more than most people can say. I know loads of people who've been training for years and years and years who've never gone up, who've never stepped foot onto a platform, because they're just waiting for the right moment, And it's there's never a right moment. Just go and try it, go and do it. You won't regret it. It will be fun, and who knows? You might find something you actually love doing. You get bit by the bug. I'm mainly on Instagram at Jack_cast-iron-strength, or I'm currently in Dave's gym in Cardiff. You can come and find me there. You can drop me an email at jack.castironstrength@gmail.com. And that's about it, man. Hopefully soon I'll be on the Starting Strength Coaches Registry. You can also find me there.
Cool. Good shot. Here's another. Pull. Good shot. Here's another. Pull. So now, stop. Well done. That's 2 with 1 shot.
Me.
When you're ready, shout, pull again. Pull. Good shot, that's a triple. So you're on 13 now, mate.
Fucker.
I'm Jack Bissett. You're watching Beautiful Strength, and remember, the barbell never lies.